All right, welcome everybody to Cosmic Compass. Yay. The conversation we're going to have today is with our guides and our ancestors, not unlike what we did last week. We're flowing with shifts and changes. Our originally scheduled guest is giving us an opportunity to honor her shifts and changes, and we're flowing with that today. And so you can read my email. You probably did because you're here. So you already know all about that. So we'll see her next week. And in the meantime, we'll be sending her lots of love and healing support energy. And just to kind of say a little bit more about the book that I recommended, Honoring Grief. It is a book that I give to all of my students in my Sensuous Wisdom training. It is, and I know it sounds kind of funny, like, why are we giving out books around grief? But grief is a vital part of our journey on this planet. And so being and understanding it in a way that allows us to deepen while at the same time heal is one of the things I love. It's a very simple book. She has a whole bunch of other books as well that are excellent. So just as a reminder, and I'm sure you have your favorites out there as well, but it's one of mine. So anyway, what we're going to do today is pull some cards for the week. We are also going to have a little raffle off camera for the 2025 Astro Numerology Preview. So I realize that some of you here already have that. Thank you. But you can always gift it to someone else if you want to. I will, you can let me know who that might be, and I'd be happy to send it to them. So I just figured we might as well do something fun today and enjoy the season of light that we're coming into over the weekend for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. I recognize that those of you in the Southern who are listening later, it's a different time, although they are at their, so really we can all celebrate. They're having tons and tons of light, right? Their season just shifts and we're moving into the light, but it's really dark. So we can all celebrate the light together. It's doable. It's totally doable. All right. Here we go. I'm going to pull an anchor card from the Illustrated Herbery. I love this deck. It's a beautiful deck. And I just figured we needed a little plant to go with us for this week. So we'll see what it is. Always exciting to find out. And before we do that, we're going to take some breaths and we're going to deepen in and we're going to connect with the earth and we'll connect with guides and ancestors as you desire. Okay, so if you'll join me holding the deck, and we're just going to bring our awareness inward. Just take a regular breath there for a moment, and you don't need to close your eyes. It's an invitation to do so. If you want to close your eyes or bring your awareness inward, you can bring it down through the heart, all the way down into your body, feeling your root. And for those of you who are sitting, feeling the points of contact. If you're standing, just feeling your feet on the earth or on the floor to the earth, but really feeling the energy as you just deepen into your body. And from here, we're going to breathe and expand the belly. Breathe in a little more. And when you're ready, exhale. Kind of move your body around, roll your shoulders, loosen your jaw, breathing in again, expanding the belly. Expand a little more. And exhale. Feeling your legs, your feet, connecting with the earth. If you feel comfortable, dropping some roots all the way down, breathing in up through the soles of your feet, expanding your belly, and exhaling when you're ready. And again, breathing up, feeling the connectedness to the earth, expanding the belly, Exhaling. And before we open our eyes, taking another moment to acknowledge the land that you're on right now, all those who came before. And if it feels comfortable for you to acknowledge your DNA ancestors, your spiritual ancestors, and just dropping again a little bit more of those roots down into the earth, really feeling supported and grounded. And we'll just take in one more breath in, acknowledging the support all around, feeling your guides if that is something you enjoy doing, and exhaling. And when you're ready, you can come back. Welcome. Welcome to our new people. Yay. Thanks for joining. So, one of the things people have asked me a lot over the years is, how do I find my guides? And there are lots of ways to do that. But I would say the most important one is to give yourself about 5 minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes, where you're just quiet. You can close your eyes and you just ask for them to reveal themselves to you. And it takes time. Sometimes we're ready to hear, sometimes we're not. Today, when I was I was awake, but lying in bed, I was just asking which guides were here with me today and thanking all the ones that I have seen over the years or heard or felt. And again, remember, you may not see anything, you may not hear anything, but you may just know that they're with you. And it is a really beautiful practice, even if you never see, feel, or hear them, just know that they're there, right? But there are signs that they can give you. And for those of you that are interested in learning more about that, in the Cosmic Circle that we meet twice a month, the second meeting of the month, we go deeper into some of these things and bring out exercises to practice and deepen. So, and meditations to do that. So anyway, just as a side note, as we work with the guides this morning, I went in and I was really deepening in, and you can just do it this way too. I was working with the ancestral energies and just really remembering my roots around Christmas. So, Christmas and Hanukkah and any holiday bring up a lot around family. Sometimes it's not so pleasant, right? But sometimes it is. And so I was focusing in on something that I really enjoyed. And I was telling David this morning that one of the traditions that we had as a family was our stockings would be filled by St. Nicholas, and it was very clear it was St. Nicholas. Santa brought gifts, but stockings were filled by St. Nicholas, which I knew were the same, but somehow they were different. And they would be filled with oranges and nuts and gold coins, which you can see some of the coins over behind me. And it's interesting. I just looked it up on, because now we have the Google Oracle. I just looked it up because I was curious, like, is that a real tradition? Is that something my family did? But it is a real tradition. And Jackie's nodding her head. So yeah, it's a real tradition. And I'm always, the coins make me happy. And I thought it was just me being a Taurus, but I think it stems back to that tradition of knowing that those stockings would have something in them. And, there was always, I'm sure I'm not the only person this happened to, but there was always the threat of coal going in the stocking. I don't know if anybody else had that, but there was always that threat. Ah, I love that. Pillowcases are great. And tangerines. Yeah. When I was really young, we had a tangerine orchard. So that was easy. There were a lot of tangerines in the stockings, or oranges. And we had, okay, I think they were almonds. But everything was in its shell. It wasn't, and everything had a shell. So it was a really interesting shell. I'm pretty sure they're almonds where they're kind of shaped like this. And there's like three sides to them, maybe. Or, yeah, anyway, I'll have to look it up. And walnuts. Those were the big ones in our family. So anyway, very healthy snack on Christmas. So that was a good thing. All right. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, right. Ancestors. Yeah. So anyhow, I was calling on my ancestors during our meditation with this card because on my mother's side, my grandmother was from a Norwegian family. She was first generation, born in the United States. She was the 13th out of 14 children born in North Dakota, to a farming family. And you're going to laugh. You're going to just so laugh. How old am I? You all know I am, right? You're going to laugh. Um, but it just occurred to me like in the last month that, oh, maybe the reason I love horses, even though I've never had them, is because I'm only one generation away from the family that did, you know? Like, oh, we just didn't get them passed down to my generation. Even my mother rode horses, but no one ever talked about it. There was just, I don't know, maybe there was some grief around not being able to have them. And so it just never happened. But hello, farming families. Hello. So anyway, farming family, Norwegian, calling on my grandmother, who was an expert gardener. And this is to all to say we're moving into this deck now. So although I did see a question in the chat. Ooh, I'm going to come back to that question afterwards. Just remind me, because the answer is yes. But I'll explain more when I'll explain more off camera if you want. It'll be better. Okay, so I'm going to deepen in, and I'm just going to just deepen into that family tradition of plants. And she was an incredible gardener. She has a garden named after her in New York, and that did not pass down to me, just so you all know. And ask for her guidance for a card for us for this week, for all of us, not just for me. Okay. Oh, fascinating. All right. And this is actually a plant that looks different in different places. Let me see if it'll come. Please. There we go. All right. Mugwort. And so many of you probably already know mugwort is good for dreaming. It also has a lot of other medicinal qualities, but the focus for this one is very much about obviously catching your dreams. I know people who put mugwort in pillows to dream of special dreams. It's a beautiful card. So that's our anchor card. And she says here in the card, between dreams. So unlike normal, I'm going to actually look in the book today, just to give you a little bit more information about what it says. This book is fantastic. I mean, look at this book, right? Isn't this beautiful? If you're ever looking for a deck to give someone, this is a great gift because it's just beautiful. So Artemisia, which is it's Artemisia vulgaris, the Latin name. She says mugwort lives in the space between deep rest and waking. Not like I was awake this morning when I was talking to my guides, but that before we wake up, right? I love that space. She is the daughter of moonlight. And of course, full moon, right? Beautiful. She is the daughter of moonlight and protector of those who travel the dream time. And I know many of us do. I know it. We work hard sometimes at night. Boy, we wake up and we're like, whose dream was I in? Because wow, what was I doing? Right? But we do our work at night. Mugwort curls around your mind, whispering your dreams into words and images that you can clutch as you climb levels of consciousness and return to your waking self. While Mugwort's constant vigil makes her a bit waspish and bitter, she knows the many layered worlds and can guide you through the serpentine paths of collective unconscious. Call on her to guide you through the dreams or journey work. If Mugwort appears, she is calling you to dip into the subtler realms. Well, I'm a big supporter of that. And it is interesting because the first text I received this morning was from one of my dear mentors who said she had this beautiful dream with me in it. And she explained the dream. And then the next and then my first email that I opened was an email about, do you ever do dream analysis? Because I'm having these wild dreams. So, yes, to dream analysis. I love dreams. I've been working with them for a long time. And I think the best way to work with your dreams this week, right, is if you can write even, sometimes if I have to be right on it. I like have to really intend this to remember them, but just have something by the bed. And whether I text myself, which is not ideal, I just have a journal and I just write down 2 words or 3 words that will help me remember the dream. That's enough for me. And I think that us delving into our dreams this week would be a really good idea. So let's do that. And the subtler realms are easier to access, obviously, when we're sleeping. But for those of you that meditate, you can use that time as well. And for those of you that are really like, I don't know, this time of year, how much, well, I'll encourage you to be outside as much as you can be. It just depends on, I mean, some of you don't have a choice because you have to go take care of the beings that live with you or live around you. But it being outside and just taking a moment, really, literally, and just finding something beautiful to focus on and just, just, letting that energy come through the beauty, that is a great way to access that realm as well. So the other night, full moon, right? Was outside late. It was probably 11:15. So the moon was up. The trees are bare. It had been pouring rain and now it was 31 degrees. So things were getting frozen, right? So the droplets on the trees were these beautiful little crystals, right? They were just hanging there, semi-frozen, clear, and the moonlight was just streaming through. If it wasn't so gosh darn cold, I would have stood there for a while, but I was a little chilly. So, but it was really beautiful. And it's in that moment of recognizing the beauty. That's when we're accessing that space, right? It's a way. And then, of course, rest and dreaming, which is what the mugwort's for. Okay, now we're going to pull our tarot cards for the week. And I'm going to shuffle them. And while I do that, let's call in all of your ancestors, my ancestors' guides, all those that want to be present. And for those of you that are curious, the divine energies are the ones that I feel are orchestrating it all. So I very, very much every day move to the realms of all that is and the divine and thank that energy for supporting all of this. Okay. So to me, that gratitude toward the divine is really important as well. So just little tips as we move into the next thing. All right. I'm going to pull 3 cards. First card. Boy, we tend to get a lot of the same cards, and I do shuffle, I swear. Okay. We haven't had this one in a while, but we have had it before. I know this is just this can be a poignant card for a lot of us. 6 of Cups. And again, all that's needed today is just for you to look, to feel, to sense. And whatever is surfacing, let it surface. Know that this card is speaking to you through your intuition right now. The reason I picked this deck is because of her powerful connection to art and the meanings of the cards, right? Okay. So that's our first card. All right. And again, you can just stay with that feeling. And we move to the next card. And I do mix them up. Some people just take the first 3 off the top, but I am mixing them up. And we've had this card before, but not for a while. So now we have 2 cards with dogs. Dogs are not prevalent in this deck. So we want to take that in as a symbol of itself, right? So the King of Pentacles. In the Inner Child deck, this is the St. Nicholas card, which is interesting. It's the last card of the entire deck. This card has multiple meanings for me personally, and I think again, just enjoy whatever is surfacing for you today. And actually, is that even a dog? That begs, there's a question there actually. Okay, but dog-like. All right. There's probably a Latin root that's similar. All right, our last one, just calling upon all those that are here for our highest and best good. And we've gotten this one before too, but not for a while. And no dog, but another card with a male figure, which is very interesting because once again, this deck is pretty balanced in terms of masculine, feminine, male, female, genders, non-binary. There's everything's here in this deck, which I love. So what do you see? What do you feel? What do you notice? A part of me just has to say this. You realize that this is the Aries card, in case you didn't know. And this is Mars, that he is sitting on Mars. And Mars, okay, so the other night, Mars so prevalent in the sky, it's red. When you look up, it's red. You can tell Mars because it's red. It's pretty, it's not dominant. Jupiter is still very dominant, but wow, you could really see Mars. So what is that? And with Mars retrograde, what does this all mean? And it's interesting, like, I'm going to assume that's a chess piece. The Ankh. Just curious, just be with this. What does this card symbolize for you? Overall, very interesting set of cards. I don't know how this is going to read on your side, but you get that general. An interesting grouping. Very interesting grouping. I feel inspired to talk about the Mars retrograde just for a moment. So when Mars is our planet of energy, our planet of creativity, our planet of sexual energy. It can also be the planet of passion, which can go in many different ways, right? Definitely it's a get things done planet. Okay, there's just a lot of energy there. So when it retrogrades, we want to watch our energy. We want to be aware of how we're cultivating energy. We want to be aware of how we're feeling depleted, if we're feeling depleted. So when Mars is retrograde, I think it's a great time for creative pursuit to deepen in. I don't think it's a great time to push our energy. I don't think it's a great time to overdo it, she says to herself. So I encourage all of us, even though Mercury is now direct and you think, oh yeah, full steam ahead. I would say, no, let's not do full steam ahead. Let's do a full steam inward and let that naturally move us through the world. But we don't want to necessarily jump out and do a bunch of things that require a ton of energy. If you are in a position where I think February, Mary, it's going to be a while. So I think for those of us that are used to having a lot of energy, we're going to still have it. It's not like it goes away. It's just be mindful of how you are cultivating your energy. And if you're not doing an energy cultivation practice, maybe begin one. This would be a great time to begin that energy cultivation practice. And, and again, for those of you that were at the workshop, what the movement is for next year. And for anyone who wasn't there, who wins the raffle, you'll know too. So that will be a good practice actually for cultivating energy moving forward. And so again, depending on where Mars is in your chart. So this is again the layering of astrology. Mars, like for me, Mars is in Aries. Okay, so I'll just use myself as an example. I have a lot of energy, not all the time, but I can call on it most of the time. The key phrase being most of. Okay, because when Mars is retrograde, I can't get away with pushing beyond my capacity. A lot of the other times of the year, I can. I can get away with it because I can go over here and go, okay, Mars, come on. I'm not saying that's a great idea, but I'm just saying I can get away with it. Because Mars is the ruler of Aries, when Mars retrogrades, I have to pay more attention, and I haven't been. So, I'm saying this, my heart to your heart, please take care of yourself because the push isn't helpful. One thing I've noticed, and again, this is just me sharing with you from all my many years of doing astrology and tapping into the body, right? Using our somatic senses. Aries rules the head. And I have noticed over the years that Aries have a tendency to bump their heads a lot. And so I see someone smiling who's an Aries. Yeah. Anyway, anyhow, yeah, bumping the head happens. And I noticed for me that there were some serious head things that happened when Mars was retrograde, right? So, not saying that happens to everyone, but I just, with Mars and Aries, I'm very aware, like, oh, be mindful. So, I noticed that my head, I need to have more electrolytes right now. We're going from cold to warm, and there's these changes in weather. And so I really need to take care of my head. And I also noticed Mars was not retrograde when I was sick with COVID this past summer, but it was my head that really was affected. And I was thinking back to that time and looking at where Mars was in the chart. So anyway, I can share more of that in our cosmic circle, but it's really good to track like certain aspects of every planet, where it is, when it's retrograde, what your natal one is, because it affects us in different ways. So let's say your Mars is in Cancer. Okay. Mars in Cancer is a different kind of energy. It's, the Cancerian energy is water, it's fluid, it's ruled by the moon. It's family oriented, it's emotionally, deep. So Mars in Cancer means that there's a lot of energy around emotion all the time, right? A lot of energy around emotion. It also means that the fire of Mars can sometimes be tapped down by the water of Cancer. Okay. So, how does that person access their energy? If you have Mars in Cancer, you have to flow into it. And being in that flow increases your energy. All right. When Mars is retrograde, oh, the ranch. Okay. Bye. When Mars is retrograde, and if you have Mars in Cancer, then you really truly want to get more rest. You want to make sure you journal, talk to yourself, comfort yourself, make sure that you have everything that you need for your emotional well-being. Okay. So, and each of the signs has their own way of traveling through this. So the question was, how long is it retrograde? I'm going to randomly say, you could probably look this up, but it's sometime in late February that it turns direct. What is interesting about the Mars retrograde, I think, for so many reasons, is that it means that Mars spends an extra amount of time in Leo this year. So it will retrograde back into Cancer and then come back into Leo. Mars in Leo is just fabulous energy for creating. For some of you, I've suggested this is the time to write, and I stand by that. This is the time. If you're writing a book or want to write a book, this is the time. And then when Mars goes direct, it will come back through Leo, but it'll move a lot faster. Well, it won't move any faster. It just will move through. And then we won't have Mars in Leo again for a while. So it's just a good energy to deepen in and to get creative and be mindful of how you take care of yourself. It's really important. Okay, let me just see. Oh, wow. We've had some really good comments, and we're going to have to go back to some of those because I have a question about one of them. Okay. It's interesting. So I have one comment here that I will need to get more information about, but it does bring up a really good point about acupressure and drawing out heat. So I don't know when that comment came in terms of when I was talking about Mars retrograde, but I think it was long before that. But this is a really good point. With Mars retrograde, we want to watch the heat levels in our body, right? And you could go either way. So finding your balance, really key. We don't want to get too hot, too cold. And for those of you that are like, what are you talking about? We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about what we eat does affect how our body is hot or cold, right? And now there's a little bit more info for me. Mugwort. Okay, thank you. Okay, so mugwort is good for drawing out heat. Okay, and acupressure. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, I didn't know that. See, we're learning something new and it's all related. That's excellent. Okay, so the only other thing I will remind us of for just again as we move toward the solstice, I haven't done a solstice chart yet, but I do know that, obviously the solstice happens because the sun moves into Capricorn. So the sun is still in Sagittarius. The moon right now is in Cancer. Mercury's in Sagittarius. Venus is in Aquarius. Mars is still in Leo. Jupiter is still in Gemini. Saturn is still in Pisces. And I'm saying this for a reason. Uranus is still in Taurus. Neptune's still in Pisces. Pluto is now in Aquarius, and Chiron and the North Node are still in Aries. Why do I keep saying it that way? Because 2025, hello, a lot of things change. Planets are moving around into new signs, and that means change. So flow with the changes. That's why I entitled it that way. And so the preview is it's a pretty deep dive preview, actually. The guidebooks, I think you have about 20 pages of guidebook with that program. So I think as we get to the end of my musings for this morning, I'm just going to remind those of you that are still here that I am going to go ahead and do a raffle when we go off camera for the Flow with the Changes course. So you can flow with your change and have a little preview. And for those of you that already have it because you attended live or received the recording, you can give it to someone. Just let me know who you want to give it to. So, all right, I think that's all I have for this morning. I'm going to go off camera now or off spotlight. I'm going to stop recording. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Love you all. I hope you have a good week and you all stay here for the raffle.